Ladies and gentlemen, I just moved into my college dorm. This is not my side, this is my roommate's side. This is gonna be just a little less professional looking. I didn't have time to set up my camera. Let me take you back to a simpler time. A time when I didn't have the means to buy Pokemon, but I craved the thrill of catching them all. Battling gym leaders, exploring new regions. My solution? Roblox. Specifically a game called Pokemon Brick Bronze. Hi Chris. Imagine this. A kid, maybe not too different from the one you used to be, eager to experience the world of Pokemon, but lacking the hardware and means to do so officially. Instead, they stumble upon Pokemon Brick Bronze, a fan-made game built inside a Roblox that, for all its intent and purposes, felt like the real thing. It wasn't just some knockoff. This was the knockoff. The gameplay was remarkably faithful, the adventure genuinely engaging. The thing about Pokemon Brick Bronze was that it worked. It wasn't just a copy and paste effort thrown together to mimic the mainline games. It had polish, creativity, and a community of passionate players who made it feel alive. And in the world of fan games, that's a rare find. There were real challenges to overcome, creative design, and even an original story to explore. It wasn't just a watered-down imitation, it was a love letter to the series. At that time, the Pokemon fan community was thriving. From fan art to competitive battles, people were finding ways to engage with Pokemon in ways that went beyond just playing the game. Pokemon Brick Bronze was a huge part of that. It was a place where the community came together to experience the love for the franchise in a different yet familiar way. And it was accessible. All you needed was a Roblox account, and suddenly you were part of this massive, ever-growing Pokemon world. Let's talk about that community for a second. It wasn't just about playing the game, it was about connecting with the people who shared your passion. Forums, Discord servers, Reddit threads, you name it. The community around Brick Bronze was as vibrant as any official Pokemon fanbase. People would spend hours discussing strategies, sharing rare Pokemon, and battling one another. It was like its own little ecosystem had sprung up around this game. We weren't just players, we were part of something bigger. Remember that feeling when you caught a rare Pokemon or finally beat a particularly tough gym leader? Now imagine sharing that with hundreds, even thousands of others. There were in-game events, tournaments, and challenges that kept the community engaged and buzzing. The thrill of the game wasn't just about what you could achieve, it was about being part of a collective experience. You knew there were others out there who got it, who understood why this game mattered so much. But here's where it gets tricky. While we were all living in this fan-made utopia, deep down we knew something was off. There was an unspoken understanding among the community that we were on borrowed time. Pokemon Brick Bronze wasn't just a fan game, it was a Pokemon fan game. And that meant we were skating on thin ice with one of the biggest companies in the gaming industry, Nintendo, who has been known to just abuse that copyright. We all knew it couldn't last forever. There was this ever-present sense of doom looming over the community. But who wants to think about that when you're having the time of your life? So we pushed those thoughts to the back of our minds and kept playing, kept catching Pokemon, kept battling gym leaders. Every day that Pokemon Brick Bronze remained online felt like a gift. An extra day to explore this world that we knew could disappear at any moment. It's funny how we deal with impending loss. It's like the last day of summer vacation. You know it's ending, but you just want to make the most of it while it lasts. And that's what we did. We made the most of it. We played, we explored, we battled, we connected. But we never stopped looking over our shoulders, wondering where the other shoe was going to drop. And then it happened. April 2018, I remember it like it was yesterday. You log into Roblox, ready for another day of adventure in Pokemon Brick Bronze. And instead, you're greeted with the news that it's gone. You can't find it anywhere. You're looking up different names, you're looking up different combinations of names, and you can't find it. Just like that, Nintendo, the overlords of everything Pokemon, had finally noticed the little fan-made party we were all having in their backyard, and they decided to crash it. Brick Bronze was wiped off the face of the internet. I remember the initial shock. It wasn't just a game disappearing. It was a whole world, our world, vanishing overnight. Imagine spending months, even years building something incredible, and then someone comes along and erases it in the blink of an eye. That's what it felt like. We weren't just losing a game, we were losing the community, the friendships and the countless of hours of work and joy that had gone into it. Nintendo's takedown was swift and final. There was no appeal, no warning, no chance to say goodbye. It was just gone. And in that moment, all the memories of battles, trades, and shared experiences with friends suddenly felt distant, like echoes of something that was now out of reach. It was a gut punch, and it left a void that no other game could quite fill. But here's the thing about fan communities. They're nothing if not resilient. Almost as soon as Pokemon Brick Bronze was taken down, clones started popping up all over Roblox. It was like a game of whack-a-mole. One version would get shut down, and another would spring up in its place. Every new version brought with the hope that maybe this time it would stick around. Maybe this version would be the one to dodge Nintendo's wrath. But every time, that hope was short-lived. These resurrections were never quite the same. They felt like pale imitations of what we had lost. Sure, they tried to recapture the magic, but something was always off. It was like trying to bring back a ghost. You might see a shadow of what it once was, but the soul was missing. And eventually, it became clear that no matter how many times we tried to revive Pokemon Brick Bronze, it was never going to be the same. And yet people kept trying. Why? Because that's what we do. We cling to things that make us happy, even though we know that deep down, they're gone for good. We recreate, we rebuild, we try to hold on to the feelings that once was. Even as Nintendo's legal hammer kept smashing down on every new iteration, the community refused to let go. But with each failed revival, the reality set in a little more. Pokemon Brick Bronze was gone. In the years since, I found myself reflecting on what this whole experience taught me. It wasn't just about how to catch Pokemon or how to strategize. It was something deeper, something more personal. Pokemon Brick Bronze taught me a lesson in impermanence. It was a harsh reminder that things we love aren't always going to be around forever, that we need to appreciate them while they're here, because when they're gone, and no amount of wishing can bring them back. It also made me realize that, just maybe, the impermanence of it all was what made it so special. If Brick Bronze had stuck around, would it still hold the same place in our hearts, or would it just become another game in the sea of games, eventually lost in the shuffle of growing up? Maybe the fact that we knew Brick Bronze could disappear at any moment made us cherish it even more. This isn't a story about a fan-made Pokemon game that got taken down by Nintendo. It's a story about appreciating things that we have, even when we know that they won't last forever. It's about making the most of the time that we have with the things that we love. And maybe that's the real lesson here. If you love something, don't wait until tomorrow to appreciate it. Play that game, watch that show, hang out with those friends. You never know when it might be your last chance. And so here I am, years later, occasionally checking Roblox for any trace of Pokemon Brick Bronze, knowing full well that it's never coming back. But every time I do, it reminds me of those moments that I spent in that world. Moments that, while fleeting, were filled with joy and connection, and maybe that's enough. Okay, so we talked about Pokemon Brick Bronze, our collective digital fever dream, but let's get a little deeper. Why does it matter? Why do we still think about it years after its untimely demise? Now, impermanence isn't exactly a new idea. It's basically the philosophical equivalent of your parents telling you, enjoy your childhood because one day you'll have to do your own taxes. Fun, right? But impermanence is real and it's everywhere. And Pokemon Brick Bronze, yeah, it was a perfect example of that. Remember how I said we all kind of knew that Pokemon Brick Bronze wouldn't last forever? That looming sense of doom wasn't just paranoia. It was awareness of impermanence. We loved it because it was awesome, but we also loved it because we knew, consciously or not, that it could be taken away at any moment. And that's the thing about impermanence. It makes us appreciate the present, but it's also kind of a bummer because nothing lasts forever. Impermanence is baked into the core of the Pokemon experience. The entire game is about change and growth. You start with a little Charmander, and before you know it, you've got a towering Charizard breathing fire. That's impermanence in action. Your cute little fire lizard doesn't stay a little fire lizard forever. And that's okay. In fact, it's awesome. But it's also a reminder that things are always changing, whether we like it or not. And then there's the Pokemon world itself. Remember those earlier generations of Pokemon games? The ones that were on those chunky Game Boy cartridges? The world of Red and Blue, Gold and Silver, they feel like ancient history now. Sure, you can revisit them through emulators, or the rare, lucky occasion that Nintendo decides to re-release them, but they'll never be the same as when you first played them. The feeling of newness, of discovery is gone. You can play through Kanto 100 times, but it'll never be your first time catching a Pidgey again. It's a kind of weird nostalgia. We crave that feeling of wonder that we had when we first booted up a Pokemon game, but no matter how many times we tried to recapture it, it's just out of reach. It's like we're chasing a memory that's slipping through our fingers, and that, my friend, is impermanence in a nutshell. Why do we keep holding on to these things even when we know they won't last? Why do we still think about Pokemon Brick Bronze years after its demise? Why do we still reminisce about the good old days of Pokemon even though they've been replaced by newer, flashier games? Well, it's simple. Because we're human, and humans are weirdly sentimental creatures. We hold on to the things that we love because they remind us of a time when life felt simpler. When we were just a kid playing Pokemon on a clunky old Game Boy, or in this case, the Roblox version of it, we hold on to those memories because they're a part of us. And even though those games themselves may be gone or changed, the impact that they had on us is very real. But here's the catch. Holding on too tightly to the past can make it harder to appreciate the present. It's like always trying to hold sand in your hands. The tighter you squeeze, the more it slips away. So while it's great to remember the good times, we also have to make sure that we're not missing out on what's happening right in front of us. Impermanence isn't all doom and gloom though. In fact, it's what makes life exciting. The fact things change and the fact that nothing stays the same forever That's what keeps us on our toes. Imagine if everything in life stayed exactly the same all the time. How boring would that be? You'd still be playing that same Pokemon game over and over again, and eventually it would lose all its magic. Impermanence forces us to move forward, to adapt, to find new things to love. Using Pokemon Brick Bronze as an example, yes, it's gone, and yes, that sucks, but look what it left behind. A community of fans who still remember it fondly, who still talk about it, and who still try to recreate that magic in new ways. That's the beauty of impermanence. When one thing ends, it makes room for something new, and maybe that new thing won't exactly be the same, but it could be just as special in its own way. Here's the silver lining in all of this. Because things are temporary, they're also precious. Every moment that you spend playing Pokemon Brick Bronze was unique and irreplaceable. Every battle, every trade, every encounter, it was all part of an experience that no one else will ever have in the exact same way, and that's something to be celebrated, not mourned. It's kind of like that old saying, don't cry because it's over, smile because it happened. Yeah, I know it's cliche and cheesy, but it's also true. The fact that Brick Bronze existed at all is a testament to the creativity and passion of a fan community, and it gave us something to enjoy, something to be a part of, even if it was just for a little while. In a way, that makes it more special, because if it had lasted forever, we might not have appreciated it as much as we did. So yeah, impermanence is tough. It's also a reminder that nothing lasts forever, not even the things that we love most. It also lets us appreciate what we have while we have it. Whether it's a fan-made Pokemon game, a childhood friendship, or even just a really good sandwich, nothing lasts forever. As I look back on my time with Pokemon Brick Bronze, I realized that it taught me more than just how to be a virtual Pokemon master. It taught me to appreciate the moment, to embrace the things that I love and be okay with letting them go when the time comes. Because in the end, it's not about how long something lasts, it's about the impact it has while it's here. So what's the takeaway from all of this? Everything is just the beginning of something new. So enjoy the games that you're playing now, the people that you're spending time with, and the things that you love, because they won't be around forever. And that's what makes them so special. Anyways, that's all for today's existential deep dive. Thanks for sticking with me through my journey of impermanence, nostalgia, and philosophical musings. If you've got any thoughts of your own on the topic, or you just want to share your favorite Pokemon memories, drop a comment below. And as always, don't forget to subscribe so you can help our little corner of the internet grow. Thanks for watching, Chris, and until next time, remember that nothing lasts forever. So make the most of it while it's here.